It's been 6 months already. 6 months that I have been living as a nomad. And I want to share with you how it has been so far. It hasn't been easy. That's one of the things that I want to talk to you about, because if you're planning on becoming a nomad, there is a lot that you should know that you may not find in the internet and social media. Because it's so true that we have the tendency to share the good times, the happiness, because we want to share happiness with others, especially nowadays that we have so many stressors from all over. But I think it is important to also share the not so happy areas. So for those who are watching, trying to find answers in similar situations, I want to keep it real. I want to keep it honest and tell you of the not so good times and the good times too. I mean, all of it. I wanted to be very transparent. I'm Claudia, and 2 years ago, I found myself at a fork in the road. Not only literally, but in my life. I chose the road less traveled and felt in love with freedom, so much so that I am currently renovating my tiny home on wheels so I can live as a nomad while I discover what I'm truly made of. I thought it was 6 months, but it actually has been 7 months since I moved out from a real house with a foundation and into a nomadic lifestyle. So from the first sticks and bricks house I moved, it was from my then husband. So I moved out from the home that we used to share. I moved back into my condo. I wanted to have a couple months there to really think and consider what my next step was going to be and what kind of life I wanted to have. For the first time, I was faced with the chance to draft my own life. And you know what was funny? In a weird kind of way, I didn't know the answer. I didn't know what kind of life I really wanted. When it came to choose life in my own terms, I never had that opportunity before. It's different. It is definitely different for me anyway. My purpose today is to make a recount of what my life has been in the last 7 months of serious nomad lifestyle, with the intent to have it for the records, but also to take what went wrong and what things went right, so I can learn and better prepare for whatever is to come and pass that on to you if you are considering to make a change like this in your life. The last 7 months have been difficult. They have been difficult, and it isn't for lack of preparedness. I was prepared. I knew once I set a plan. I knew that's what I was going to do. But there's always a little twist in the plans, right? For me, it was once I found a tenant for my condo. Just before that, my ex-husband had reached out to me and wanted to be friends, have a good relationship considering our history. And he offered me to go back and park the RV on his property. I felt like, what do I have to lose? We only tried to kill each other once or twice. That's a joke, of course. But it feels like that sometimes, right? When you're in a broken relationship. I always want to give things and people and myself a second chance, a try. Why not? Why not? What do we have to lose? So I found a tenant, I moved out of my condo, and then I moved back to his property, and I wanted to time some loose ends before I started traveling. And then I thought, I did the traveling before, and there are certain things about my RV that are in my way that I don't need, or I could have a different space, a different layout. So that's when I thought, okay, I'm here at his property. I have the tools, I have a flat area to work on. Great, I'm gonna do the renovation then before I go, because once I take off, I'm just gonna take off. So that's what I did. And I did wanna make it clear with him though, that if that was okay with him, that I wouldn't have a fixed plan, that I really didn't know how long this was gonna take, because honestly, I didn't know how much of a renovation I was going to do. But he said, okay, no worries, take your time. And so that's what I did. I started the renovation and things were going well. I wanted to do everything by myself. I wanted to learn. I really was encouraged to become self-sufficient and not count on anyone. And I was happy because I was on a roll. I was on a good roll. But old habits started to reappear from both of us. Things that didn't feel right, and I bailed. I just can't handle illogical things as well as I used to when I was younger. So now I just move on. I move on very quickly from things that are negative for me. So I decided to move out. If we are gonna be friends, we can be friends in the distance. So that's when the cabinet shop comes into my life. So from his house, I moved to the parking lot of the cabinet shop. If you are not familiar with the story, there's a video about it. And I spent about 2 months parked in their parking lot, 2 months. And after that, it was time to hit the streets. So that's what I did. It's interesting because almost a year ago, right about the time I moved back into my condo, I made a video about the places that I would park the RV when the time came, because my idea was to get a tenant, get out of the condo and park on the streets. And that's when I went to my ex-husband's house instead. So, but this time, it was time for me to put my money where my mouth is and test those parking spots that I shared in that video. And it's interesting because I don't know why I feel so anxious about doing it. I feel so anxious about trying and parking on the streets of my own town, and I have done it in other states. When I was traveling by myself, I park on the streets on many places and many cities. But for some reason, I was more apprehensive in my own town. But you know what? I'm so glad that I did it, because it was a good experience. And the first time I picked a street that it was pretty wide and not many neighbors around. Tonight is the first night that I'm going to start sleeping on the streets or parking on the streets. I'm on my way to the gym now, but here's the mini. If you guys remember, I made a video of the places I'm gonna park the RV, and that's one of the places. Those were my first 3 nights. It was a little bit noisy, but it was just fine. And I had a street light right there. Then the next day I introduced myself to the neighbor. Then I moved to my next spot, and that was a better location. It was quieter and more secluded. So that's where I'm gonna park for the next 3 days. I just left the other parking area and I'm gonna try this one. I introduced myself to the neighbor and she was super sweet. She said, park here whenever you want to. And she's an old lady, so sweet. And she said, oh, when I was young, I used to have a travel trailer. So I'm so glad that I tried it, and it hasn't been bad. So today is day number 6 that I have been parking on the streets, and I'm on my way to move my RV from the second parking area that I used for the past 3 nights. So I'm gonna move the RV and I will be on my way to my daughter's house because I get to babysit tonight. So I'm gonna spend the night over there, and I may come back to the same spot the day after, I don't know. I have options. I park 3 days on that street where the neighbors already know who I am. And then I go to the other spot where my neighbor already knows who I am. And they're also good to me. I feel safe. It's been just fine. I went to my city building and I asked about the parking regulations. And they told me, yeah, you can park on the street, but you have to move it every 72 hours. So I made a little note and I posted on my window. But no one came to bother me and nobody asked any questions. And I put a little note here that it says. So I don't know if that's gonna help, but I have to move it today. So far it has been a good experience. I have been safe, no problems, nothing, no knocks on my door, nothing at all. And the neighbors are super nice. And it feels good that they know me, that I'm on the open, there's nothing bad. And I work most of the day and on things of the association. So another reason why my renovation is not going as fast as I wanted to is because I'm also doing HOA stuff, as you know. And today I'm going to install a digital lock for our laundry room. Then I'm going to install security cameras, and then I'm going to change the laundry floor. If you're thinking of becoming a nomad, learn to rely on yourself. And it's good to have friends and family. It's really good, and they will be there for you. But it is my advice that you try to be as self-reliant as you can. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoy the scenery. This is Lake Wolford in Valley Center, California. Thank you for watching, as always. I love being in touch with you. I love your comments. Thank you so much. You guys make me feel that I'm not alone. And I know I'm not alone. I have all the love in the world and all the adventures to come. And I'm very inspired to continue to move on. Challenges will happen, they're part of life, but we just need to keep pressing on with the best attitude. Everything has a solution. Anyway, thank you for watching. I love you guys. Bye. Mwah.